All right, we are live on Las Vegas Tri Club, and we are recording. This is evidence-based triathlete. And there's Cosmo.
Cosmo, you're looking the wrong way.
Cosmo.
So this Cosmo is my shop dog. It's so weird. He doesn't like being in the backyard, but when I'm in the garage, he loves being in the garage. He just lays down. I have to tie him up though, because I get the garage door open and he will chase somebody. He's if Amazon comes or FedEx, it's gonna happen. So we'll be ready for that.
Well, that's good. He's just watching the world go by, just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
Ted's garage, or maybe we call this Ted's lab.
Yeah, Ted's lab. Ted's working lab.
Yeah.
And also not just lab, but also heat chamber. It's pretty hot in here right now, and that's good. The race next weekend, it's like looking like it's going to be in the 90s.
Yeah.
In St. George next weekend, so I'm trying to get a little acclimatization today. So this helps that it's hot in the garage.
All signs are that St. George will be happening. So
all signs point to yes.
Yeah.
So it is exciting. We talked a little bit about it last week about not racing for so long and getting back at it. Last week I was nervous. This week I'm excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be hopefully a good time. Tons of people signed up. Tons of people from Vegas coming down and all over the country. So hopefully it's going to be a good.
Some good pros coming into town. Yeah, there's a pretty deep pro list, both men and women.
It's very deep. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So that'll be good. So today I'm actually, before I race, I like to wax my chains.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the bike I'm going to race with. This is my road bike. But I thought, because this chain is the dirtiest, that we demonstrate how to actually start the process. So what we're going to do today is we're going to wax this chain, but we're going to clean it as well. And so whether somebody chooses to use a wax or a lube, you should start out with a clean chain. Absolutely. And why is it important to clean your chain? That's probably a good question. I'm out riding all the time and I see people and their chains are just filthy. And, people I even talk to, like, when's the last time you cleaned your chain? Never. It's not, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or, once a year I take it to the bike shop. And really it's not that hard to clean your chain. But I definitely recommend that when you clean your chain, you take it off of your bike. And it's really simple to clean when you get it off your bike, rather than all of those machines and toothbrushes and stuff. Taking it off just makes it so much easier. John, do you take your chain off to clean it?
Oh, definitely. And it is funny, in terms of why you clean your chain. Obviously, it has to do with bending of the chain and reducing the friction. But I actually clean my chain to take care of my chain rings too, because that grime can build up on your chain. And then it can start wearing down your chain rings. And those chain rings are expensive. Chains are expensive. But if you're changing out your chain and your chain rings all the time, that gets really pricey. So
yeah, and it's true, and by keeping your chain clean, it will make your chain last longer, save you money there. It will make your chain rings last longer. It'll make your pulley wheels last longer, and it'll make your cassette last longer. So basically your whole drivetrain will last longer. Mm-hmm. It'll run smoother, it'll run quieter, and it'll be more efficient.
Yep.
One of the things that I've kind of learned about throughout the years is if things are noisy, there's forces being dissipated.
Yep. Well, and sound is a form of energy, and we've talked about power as transforming energy from one form to another. And you don't want to transform that energy into sound. You want to transform that energy into moving the wheel. So as you push on that pedal, you have to transfer ultimately that energy over to the wheel and the wheel down to the ground. And that changes your direct link. And so keeping that clean and keeping it flexible so it can move with little resistance is good. And you're right, any sound, clicking, rubbing, that's working against you.
Yeah. So, today we're going to do a relatively deep clean. this is something that I would recommend you do, depending on how much you ride, maybe every 400, 500 miles. Or some people will go 1,000 miles. The thing with waxing your chain is you can actually go longer between cleaning it because it forms a nice film. So the question is, you know, I guess, why wax? So maybe we'll talk about that maybe as we go. So let's talk about cleaning the chain and how I actually clean this chain. So this chain has been on this bike since the fall. And actually it's the last time I waxed, it was in the fall. I've been mostly riding my time trial bike, but I mean, this has probably had a couple thousand miles in it since, unfortunately, since I waxed it last, but I've definitely taken it off and cleaned it since then. And then I use a wax lube on top of that. And when I clean it, I don't take all of the wax off every time. But I think it would be good to go through the process of how to clean the chain. So we're going to start off by removing the chain. And so we talked about it before, I think when we did the garage episode about quick links. So John, as I take this quick link off, you want to talk about what a quick link is?
Yeah, let me see if I can quickly bring up a picture of it. But a quick link, you put in your chain so that it's easy to take off. And it comes in 2 pieces, and I actually always keep a spare quick link in my tool bag. And so just as Ted's doing here, he can use a tool that pinches that quick link together and disengages it. And then he has a chain that is able to be taken off at this point. If you've never taken your chain off before and you have a, you know, first you look for that quick link, and the quick link is very unique. As you just go through your chain, you'll be able to see one link is very different than all the other links, and that's your quick link. You do
and
need that special tool.
And if you're going to go to a bike shop and you get your work done at a bike shop, ask them to put a quick link in.
Yep.
For you. I mean, it's not hard to do if you need a chain breaker, you know, a little bit of a specific tool, but absolutely, if you bring your bike in, hey, if you're doing some maintenance on it, can you put a quick link in? It's probably going to cost you $20.
Yep.
To, you know, by the time they do the labor, the quick link themselves are like $10, which is a little ridiculous for what you get, but that's how it is. So what I do is I've got 3 jars of degreaser and then a final jar of acetone. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my chain into the first jar of degreaser. And this one was actually the last time I cleaned the bike chain. This was the last one I used. So I always kind of keep the last one. So it's a little bit dirty, but that's okay because this is the first one I use. So I put the chain in. And I'll tell you what the degreaser is as I tighten this up. I'm just putting it into a mason jar. This is, I'm using a product placement here. I'm not getting paid to do this, but Zepp Industrial Purple Degreaser. I bought it at Home Depot. This was like $10 for a gallon. The gallon goes a long way. Okay, so I've got the chain in here, and now I'm just gonna shake it. So now this is the boring part of our conversation today. I usually shake it for about a minute to a minute and a half.
Yep.
And the shaking just provides, you know, especially on a glass jar. I really like the glass because it provides a little bit of vibration. As well, you can use an ultrasonic cleaner, which I have. I actually find that this works just as well, if not better. Because, you know, the problem with the ultrasonic cleaner is I'd have to replace the fluid every time,
Okay.
every step. Well, the other thing is, your hands are going to get dirty.
Yes.
I do have gloves, but
I tend to put on latex gloves when I do my chain work. But then what I do on mine, I'll talk a little bit about that. I take my chain off and I'll put it in a bowl of kerosene.
Yeah.
And then I let it sit. I actually let it sit overnight.
So I've read, and I could be completely wrong, John, that kerosene can actually
Etch it?
hit your chain.
Yeah, right. It can.
Is that true?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so that's about a minute and a half. So now I'm going to take the chain out of this one. And this is just a citrus degreaser. So take it out. Actually, I'm gonna get the next one ready. So always keep a rag around. Open up the next jar. So now this one is perfectly clean, brand new. Take the chain out. I grab a rag. And I just wipe it down. So if I, at this point I can get a lot of grime off just by wiping it one time.
So how many?
This is because this was a wax chain before. Even after a couple of 1,000 miles, it's not that dirty.
And how many chains will you use your bottle of degreaser before you change that out?
Okay, so I always keep the last one.
Okay.
And that turns into the first one. So I kind of keep a rotation going. Does that make sense? And then the acetone, I can keep for quite a while because really what the acetone does, it does degrease a little bit, but it really speeds up the evaporation. And so it helps dry the chain as well before I put it in the wax. Okay, next bottle. And really the degreasers, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah. And I should say for rags, I've gone to just buying a bag of rags at Lowe's or Home Depot.
Yep. I've done the same. Also, you can buy the microfiber ones.
Yeah.
At Costco, I think 48 of them for like $15. Super cheap. Okay, so now we shake this one, and we'll notice that like the last one, it was pretty dark, and this one already I can tell it's not going to get nearly as dark.
And then I also keep the industrial paper towels, the blue towels, I guess they are.
Oh, that's a great idea.
But I don't like using those on my chain or gears because they break up too much.
Yeah, and you don't want to leave that residue behind, right?
No.
Yeah, I agree. We need a joke here or something.
Yeah.
So off of last week, so we had a nice comment from Rick Simpson about what gearing to use for Snow Canyon. And we were talking about that, and he suggested I go with the 42 chain ring, or sorry, the 39 chain ring. And so I had actually had my heart set I was going to use the 42. And I went and tested it on some climbs this week. I didn't actually end up going to Snow Canyon, but now I don't know what to do again.
Well,
I guess we got to figure it out eventually.
You're going to kill it no matter what.
Okay, so now I'll take this one. Oh, I'll get the next one right. So actually, it ended up being pretty dark. So there's still quite a bit of residue on that one. So we just repeat the process. Take it out, put it into the rag. But one thing I will tell you, I have a little cut on my finger, and actually it kind of stings. So maybe I should have put some gloves on. But it's more from the degreaser than anything else.
Yeah.
But it's starting to. I mean, I want to bring this closer to the camera. I don't know, John, if you can kind of see how clean it's getting.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. It's getting pretty good. I think the next step is going to really knock it out. And this will take off. This process will pretty much take off anything.
Yeah.
You know, even like the original manufacturer Lube. So I actually cleaned a few chains because I figured once I heated my wax up that I would do several of them, get them all ready. That's another little tip is, buy 2 or 3 chains and then just wax them all at one time. This is a little bit labor intensive. Okay, last of the purple. And it's interesting, like you can start to feel the chain, like feel the clean of it. At first you could actually feel like the grease and stuff on it, but now it's really coming off.
And this is still degreaser.
Yeah, so this is my 3rd degreaser, and I'm going to show you. This was the 2nd one, and then the color. difference. So
Yeah.
that tells me that there was still a lot on there in the second one.
You should have done a before pick of the chain.
Should have.
We'll do that now.
Well, you can imagine it was a couple thousand miles.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, I've been, I keep them pretty clean, but
Mm-hmm.
and then the wax, that one was waxed, keeps them really clean, especially when you use wax lube on top of it. Actually, we should talk a little bit about the different lubes, John. What kind of lube do you use?
I use a. I should have gone and grabbed it, but I think it's a white lightning lube that I use.
Okay.
But I'll do, if I'm just trying to do a quick chain, a quick maintenance of my chain, I'll take a lube cleaner and wipe it down while on the bike, and then I'll add some lube specifically to it, going link by link with the lube.
Yeah, that's best practice is actually to wipe your chain down after each ride.
Yeah.
Just quickly with the rag, get anything that's on there off. I know it's sometimes like that's the last thing I want to do after 4 or 5 hours on the bike, but it's best practice.
Yeah.
I don't always.
And it is best to lube your bike at night and let it sit overnight so you're ready to go, as opposed to lubing up and then going riding right away. So
yeah, it's meant to basically have pieces evaporate off of it.
Mm-hmm.
They have actually, I think there's solvents in it that are supposed to come off. So, and definitely with the wax lubes. And what I mean by wax lube, I can actually show the one that I use now. This is Silka Super Secret Chain Lube.
Oh yeah.
And before that, I got so many different lubes around here. I was using like the ceramic dry lube,
Mm-hmm.
and then this other wax hydrodynamic lube. I went through it all. I just, I keep researching. There's lots of sites on the internet that do independent testing of lubes, and just it seems like every year or two there's updates on what the best lubes are, and it really, we're lucky here in our environment. When you look at it, because it's dry, we actually have the longest lasting lubes and the longest lasting chains, because we're not going through that, a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see this sucker now. You just feel it's getting.
Yeah, now you're getting a shine on it.
So we got one more step. So the last step is the acetone, and then we'll be ready.
Yeah, I haven't used acetone. That's a good idea.
What's that?
The acetone. I haven't done that.
Yeah, it really helps everything kind of evaporate off.
Mm-hmm. What I do is, after I do the kerosene, I actually hose it down, and then I hang it, and then I take my air compressor and I blow it out. I blow the chain, link by link.
It's a great idea. Yep. And I do the same. I got an air compressor here. I'm not going to do it this time because it's so loud. I don't want to deal with it. But yes, it's a good idea if you have an air compressor, to blow it out. The acetone, because it evaporates so quickly, kind of does something similarly.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to go into the acetone next.
And this you reuse over several chains.
Yeah, because this has been clean. Like now I'm on, this is like the 4th jar.
Yeah.
So this one I'd reuse. And I just bought this acetone. This was just from Lowe's. This is the one I got.
Yep.
It's not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Like when you look at it, this jar, I mean, it's pretty dang clean in there.
Yeah.
Considering that, that came off of a bike.
Yeah, and not a lot of manual labor, just a little bit of shaking.
A little shaking. I haven't tried these plastic lids. The plastic lid and the acetone don't work well together. So lesson learned for this one. Replace it with a metal lid. Just leaking out a little bit. All right. Should be enough of that.
I like your mason jar idea. I haven't done that. I've been
Yeah, you can buy 6 of them at Target for like $12 or $13 or something like that. Good idea.
I like that. Oh, and then you can seal it up and not spill it everywhere.
Exactly. Kind of fell down, so I'm just gonna grab it. All right, we got one clean chain now. So I'm actually gonna grab a new towel and rag. Oh man, like the feeling of it now after the acetone, it's just like raw metal. And that's what you're going for, is that raw metal. Nothing at all on there. So you know that your wax is going onto a really nice surface.
Now, your quick link, are you going to use a brand new one, or
I am going to use a brand new one?
Okay.
But mostly because, well, you don't have to, but that one is actually a little old.
I know bike shops will say you can't reuse them. But
I reuse them all the time.
I reuse them.
Yeah, that one's probably 4 or 5 years old. So I was like, I got a new one.
But we did have someone break their chain during our race.
Really?
Yeah.
That is really.
I think
rare.
the quick link wasn't fully closed, is what I think happened.
Oh, okay. That would actually make sense.
Yeah. But a lot of times you'll be able to figure that out right away. If that quick link is not fully clasped, it will have a funny clunk to it as you go. But
all right, so I'm going to bring this to the camera again. Show. Or can you kind of see that?
Very nice, very nice. Well, you missed
that. I missed a spot.
No.
I probably,
Oh, that looks great.
It looks pretty dang good, honestly.
It really does.
And I wish you could feel through the camera like it's just like raw metal.
Yeah.
Okay, so now one of the advantages of the acetone is it really does evaporate off quickly. Like I don't even feel any moisture at all as I run over the rollers.
Yeah. So
I'm pretty comfortable putting this in the wax right now. So I actually have the wax. This is my ultrasonic cleaner with a heater. So I heated this first on the stove.
Okay.
And then I've been holding it there because I've never tried this before. I'm going to take the wax and put the chain in here, and then I'm going to clean it, or going to put the wax in my ultrasonic cleaner, and then ultrasound the chain in the wax.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I should be working for Silka. This is secret chain blend.
Okay.
Hot melt wax chain lubricant with nanoscale tungsten disulfide. Fancy stuff. I love this concept because it's like boil and bag. So after I'm done with this, I'm literally just going to close it up, and I can use that in the next chain.
Okay.
And I don't have to deal with pots and.
Yeah, I like that.
Pots.
How many chains will you run in a bag like that?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I've only this will be only the second chain I've done.
Well, and I think as long as you clean your chain as well as you do.
That's the key. You don't want to put a dirty chain in here.
Yeah, because the dirty, then all that grease is going to get on the wax.
So the next step is to hook your chain to something.
Yeah.
So you can get it out. So I just got an old coat hanger.
Yeah.
Hook it in.
Nice.
I'm gonna put it in the bag. So now it's completely submerged in the bag.
Okay.
there's water in here. It's at 69 degrees Celsius, so pretty hot. And then I'm going to hit the ultrasonic cleaner. So now that is vibrating, and it should, in theory, vibrate the wax deeper into the rollers.
Okay.
And you really want a lot of penetration. This is my first time trying that. I've only ever done it just in the bag, where then I just left it in the bag. It varies on how long you should keep it in. Some people say, you don't have to keep it in very long. I like maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
To do it. And so as that's going on, I was going to talk about other things to do while you do this. So number one thing is you got to clean your cassette. Right. So I actually took this off earlier, cleaned my cassette. It's silky clean, and I use that same purple degreaser.
Mm-hmm.
So because you don't want to put a clean chain on a dirty cassette.
You take your cassette off and
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, take it off
before, but
use just a rag with that purple degreaser.
Yep.
Doesn't take too much. Then I haven't done it yet, so I was going to do as we talk is just really quickly clean the jockey wheels.
Yep.
And I'm just going to take my rag, put my rag in the last of the degreasers. Just get it wet, run through the jockey wheels, make sure that they're nice and clean.
Those are always the hardest to clean.
Yeah, not bad when your chain's off.
Yeah.
Depending on your cage system, right? Like I know some are more difficult than others for sure.
But a lot of grime can build up.
Yeah.
Derailleur.
I really try and keep these clean. Like, every time I lube my chain, I clean these.
Yeah. And this is where
they build up a lot of grime.
Yep. And this is where that old toothbrush can come in handy.
Exactly. Yes. I don't even have one out here. Should. And then I also, now that this is wet, I'm just going to run through the chain rings too.
Now, on a deep clean, you'll take the front chain rings off?
I would, but that's like a once a year thing. Or if I'm going to change the chain ring size, which I do, we talked about that from time to time, depending on, what I need.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously cleaning the inside one's a little bit more of a challenge. You can only get one side out on it, but that's okay.
Well, on the cleaner you keep your chain, the less your chain rings will be dirty too.
Exactly.
And that bike has a power meter in the crank?
Yeah, it's this is a crank-based power meter, double side. If anyone wants to trade me for 165, I'm in the market. We talked about that. This is a 170. This is a Shimano Derailleur power meter.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought I found a nice 165 power meter. It was on the Las Vegas Bike Exchange this week, but it wasn't quite right for me.
Oh no.
It was older, and so it didn't have Bluetooth, and I really want one with Bluetooth for when I'm Zwifting.
Okay. And then last, you'll do your front derailleur as well in a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just take my rag, run through there really quick. And the funny thing is I'd actually cleaned the bike Monday or Tuesday, and then I was commuting into work yesterday, and this huge puddle, and I couldn't avoid it. It was like a water main, it broke, and I'm like, dang it! It's kind of like when you wash your car and it rains. It's when you have to go through a puddle.
Yeah.
I guess I could have went around the block, but
Well, growing up in the Northeast, especially biking, early spring, our bikes would just be a mess.
Yeah, we're so fortunate here that
we really are. It's
the only time I really have to truly clean my bike is after I've been through some puddles.
Yep.
You know, and then I always had to clean my bike after a triathlon because all the sweat and
Yep.
goo and sports drink and stuff just gets all over.
No, for sure. No, that's definitely.
All right, so it's actually been 5 minutes. So
Okay.
this actually has a timer on it, which is nice as well. So we're at 24:42. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit longer, and let's talk about the science behind what wax and why wax is fast. So, John, do you know the story behind it?
Well, I was like, oh man, I should have prepped for that question because no, I don't know.
Okay, so the best of my understanding is that it was kind of a mistake. You know, people were looking for ways to decrease the friction in the chain and trying different things. And the original study, from my understanding, it was done with some pro teams, and it was almost a joke. Well, we're going to put wax on as kind of like to be like to show us data that would be the worst. And we were going to try all these different oils and synthetic oils and all these different things. And so when they ran the first test, it came back that the wax was the fastest. And they were using just paraffin wax. Just you can go to a craft store and buy a block of it. And they actually thought that their machine that they were measuring this with, something was wrong with it. So they redid the whole thing, and sure enough, the wax came back fastest again. And so since then, their waxes have improved, but paraffin wax is still probably better than any other commercial lube other than a wax-based lube. And so then the added bonus we've been talking about, it keeps your stuff clean as well, is just, it is a bonus. And if you think about it, what happens when you start riding your bike, the chain actually heats up. Even in the winter, the chain heats up. And as it heats up, the wax starts to just basically, it melts just a tiny, tiny bit. And that just tiny little coverage on, basically what's happening is it's on the rollers of the chain that are being lubricated, kind of, just basically all of the time. And it forms a film on it that is a better film than basically any other thing at this point. And now with some of these more advanced waxes, they're getting even faster and faster. And we're talking about the difference in a wax versus a wax-based lube this is going to sound pitifully small, 2 watts. So what's 2 watts? So John, in an Ironman, what's 2 watts for you? What do you think in time?
Oh, not much. No.
30 seconds?
Yeah, maybe.
Right? But then if you go down, so that's the thing, is like, this is a lot of work for this, but the other advantages, right? So it's 2 watts faster, which is not much, but the cleanliness and the fact that grime doesn't basically get into your stuff makes it, to me, like the 2 watts is great, but you add those other things to it. And really, if I wasn't talking to everybody, I could have this done in 20 minutes.
Well, I think it's, the other part is, and this gets a little soft, I guess, but it's the zen of racing and biking, and that you are taking care of your bike. And when I'm racing, and I know the amount of time and care I put into getting it race ready, I don't know, it just makes me feel better during a race. So there's a weirdness to that, I guess, but I really enjoy that.
It's completely true. Like, I definitely feel that. Like, you feel that you have done what you can do to put yourself in the best, with your best foot forward. And you're right. I think there is a zen to that. That oftentimes you don't think about, but maybe it's a little bit of quiet confidence when you're on your bike. We've talked about it before. I was getting my rear wheel ready for the race. Just put on a brand new tire, brand new tube. Clean my cassette. It's ready for St. George. And to have that in my back of my mind, that once again, I've done this myself. I know it was what it looked like inside. I I did it myself.
Yep.
And there's a sense of pride in that as well, I think.
Yep.
For sure. For sure. All right. So it's been 10 minutes. I'm gonna we'll take this chain out.
Let's see it. And this has been a continuous camera shot, so there's been no sleight of hand here.
No editing.
Now, if you were not doing your ultrasound, would you have just sat it in the bag, or do you put the bag?
I would have, and I would have shipped in the bag.
Okay.
I don't really want to touch the chain to this top. Whoa! See, this is what's happening with live TV.
Yeah, that's all right.
Should have hooked it better.
Just don't spill the bag.
I got wax everywhere.
That was the
exactly.
last
Don't
time
spill
that
that bag. It's an expensive bag.
That's what
All
I like it. Yeah.
So that has got a good covering
Yeah.
of wax on it.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And now what I got to do is I have to just hang this and just let it be.
Yep.
Let it dry. I'm not going to do anything to this chain until tomorrow.
Okay.
And then really what you're supposed to do is after this, you're supposed to ride it. Like I wouldn't race on freshly waxed.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to go for one ride, maybe an hour, kind of breaks, because
Yep.
the wax will get kind of globed together a little bit. And this will actually kind of get hard.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'll actually, with my hand, I'll go through it as well and just
Okay.
break off any little pieces of wax that are left behind.
So do you find, like, do you put your bike on the indoor trainer and then get some wax residual at least initially?
I wouldn't do that right away.
Okay.
Well, I've got a pretty good mat now, but yes, it'll shoot wax off into the into the floor.
Yep.
So I'd always go for a ride or two outside before I put it on the trainer.
All right. Good.
So I'm actually going to hang that right there.
So you're inspiring me. I am going to get my waxer back out. And I did,
Right.
the last time I waxed my chain, I did what you did, but I spilled my wax all over my garage floor. And I'm still,
I bet you still have a stain.
yeah, it's still slippery. So, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing it. It was, but I got away from it at that point, and now I like the bag idea because that's a little less risky to spill. And
Yeah.
And so
There's still a risk to spill it. You got to be careful. Remember, it's hot wax.
Yeah.
Like that is 70 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
That'll burn you.
Yeah.
It will definitely burn you.
So you put the bag in how do you heat that up initially? What do you do?
I initially heated it up on the stove, just in boiling water. Actually,
In boiling
not even boiling water. It was in a pot with it was like 5
Mm-hmm.
on whatever. It wasn't even boiling, and it was like 20 minutes to initially warm it up.
Yeah.
And the last time, like I said, that's all I did. I got it so it was molten,
Yeah.
and brought it out to the garage, and just did that exact same thing. Except for I just left it in and I shook it a little.
Okay.
So,
Now, would you normally be doing multiple chains at one time?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So I've got 2 other chains. They're actually, these were brand new chains, and I stripped off all of the. That's the other thing we should probably talk about. A brand new chain is nice, but they come packaged with a lubricant on them and in them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you actually have to, even on a new chain, go through that process
Okay.
to remove all of the lubricant off it. So these have already been done.
Mm-hmm.
So this chain here is the one I'm going to race with
Yep.
next weekend.
Oh,
So
nice.
after we get off the phone, I'm gonna wax this one.
How do you keep them identified when you're doing this? Like, how do you?
Well, I don't use my brain. I don't know. I probably should have a system. It's a great question. Well, I only have 2 new ones.
Okay. My racing chain is black. That's how I keep that.
Oh, that's smart.
That separate. But I've had that problem where I would do multiple chains at once. All of a sudden, I was like, wait a second, which one? Which one?
And so like this one that I'll race with, as soon as like the race is done, or I get my bike home, I'll take it off.
Okay.
And so I'll actually be able to know, because this one will also be, it'll be fresh waxed.
Yep. Yep.
And I won't even break, I won't even break the wax apart. So then this will be my new race chain. Actually, I'm lying to you. I'll probably keep that chain on that bike.
Okay.
And then this will be my new race chain, because my chain needs to be replaced anyways.
So,
okay,
so let me ask you about the replacement. Do you check your chain length as
Yes.
you do all this? Okay.
Yes. So this one, the one I took off this bike, that was brand new in October.
Yep.
And I actually did check it earlier, and it's within the normal limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we talked about a chain checker before. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. So this is your chain checker. You stick it in between the two links, and then you use this to basically spread them apart, and it tells you when to replace your chain. Okay. And yeah, that one was fine. But the one on my racing bike is actually not fine anymore. It's above the limit, so that chain is going to be tossed anyways. And when it's long like that, can you tell when you're shifting that it's just not? Yeah, it's just not quite as crisp. Like, that's the other part of a new chain. Oh my gosh, it shifts so good, you know? I'm glad you said that, because that's one of my first, things I key on. If I'm not shifting well, I know I've gone too long without lubing the chain. And it's hard, like, because you don't even notice when you put the new chain on, because it's so gradual, right? It's the shifting is getting worse and worse over time, and you're just like, oh, I don't know, is it bad or not? And it gets noisier too. And then you put a new chain on, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like, it's crisp shifting, and it sounds better. And it's like, oh man, I should have done that 500 miles ago. So, and the truth is, like, fast chains, and that's the other thing, is you can spend a lot of money on chains. Yeah. And there's research on chains as well. Frictionfacts.com does lots and lots of independent chain testing and lube testing, and they rate chains, and I, because they're independent, I trust, maybe I shouldn't, but I trust their testing. But because how else would you know? I can't go out and buy 30 chains and do testing. No, right. So, I go off of the best 11-speed chain that, that they recommended. And the truth is, like, the chains, they're Derailleur chains, they're $50, but it'll last me a year. And like, an average chain is $40. Yeah. So I need a chain either way. And for me, the $10 is worth having. Once again, it's on the start line of a race, knowing that you've got the best one you could get. Yep. There's that little sense of calm, I think, that does come with that. And for the $10 difference, I'm going to do that every day of the week. Yep. All right. So I know St. George is next week, so you're doing this a week out. Is that pretty typical that you'll do this about a week out? Do you do it any closer to race day, or? I have, but now that I'm waxing, I don't. Like, I used to do, like lubing and stuff and cleaning, but now that I'm waxing, because I want to ride it for like 70 to 100 miles. So I know that between now and that race, I'll probably ride that amount. Okay. So yeah, it's a little bit, maybe further out. I like that. I'm the same way. I like about a week out, I'll change my tires out. I'll put my race chain on. And then I like to have, a good 2 or 3 rides just to work it out, because I've made a mistake putting my chain back on. I don't even know what you call it. Little tab on the derailleur. Yes, the grab. I've wrapped it over it. Yeah. I went out for a ride, and I'm like, something's wrong. And it went down and figured out, and I'm like, oh, I just wrapped my chain around the pulleys the wrong way, around that hook, if you will. So yeah, and it also is different too if you're traveling, right? Traveling to a race versus a local race, and I kind of consider St. George as a local race because I'm driving. But if I'm flying with my bike, I'm even earlier.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Because I might be packing my bike on the Wednesday and flying on a Thursday. So
Mhm.
now, I got to back that up, because there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than having that stress of trying to pack your bike and fix your bike and do all these things, you know, wax your chain, lube it, do all these things as you're trying to pack it. And it's getting to be like 9 o'clock at night. And you got to wake up in the morning and get on a flight, or
Yeah.
I don't enjoy that stress.
No, I'm the same way, and that's when mistakes happen.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I've made mistakes because of that.
Yep.
And what should be, well, we videoed it. No, we didn't video it. We actually had it when we did the members came over to my house and they packed the bike. And I was trying to go quick.
Yeah,
And, there was a mistake made that day.
that's right. The seat post.
Yeah, the seat post got stuck in the frame. So yeah, I think that's a good point for sure, John.
Yeah, and so same thing. I'm the same way, and especially when I land, if I am flying and unpack the bike, I do like to have some time.
Oh yeah.
Ride it, just to work out anything that may have just tweaked the wrong way, or maybe something wasn't put on the right way, or your brakes are twisted a little bit, or something.
You never know what happens when you're traveling with your bike.
Mhm.
We think that they're gonna, the baggage handlers are gonna take good care. They may not, and Cosmo's back.
No.
And many times I've gotten to a race and I'm so thankful I get there a day early and ride my bike. Build it in the morning and then go for a ride, and a significant ride, like 10 miles.
Mhm.
I can get on the course, even better. If not,
Yeah.
go 10, 15 miles and work out any kinks. If something's not shifting right, it's like, okay, like let's fix this now. Because, bring my tools and let's fix it now, rather than, when you're during the race and it's just annoying you, or,
Yeah.
or maybe it's not even safe. I think that's a good point.
Your old chains, when you finally
Yes.
decide one is done and
Yes.
you're not going to do anything with it, what do you do with it?
Marie was just in here, but she goes on her bike. So she left, so I can say that. I'm just kidding. It doesn't go on Marie's bike. I don't know what to do with them. I throw them away. Is there something I should be doing with them?
No, I have a pile of old chains, and I always sit there and I say, "Oh, I'm going to make something out of these someday." So
I thought the same thing. I
never do.
Some artwork, but then I got to clean them.
You got to have a clean chain to do something with it.
I'm the same. It's funny. I thought the same thing. I'm like, and then so it's actually funny you say that, because I have a chain here. So for the Everesting attempt, I took this chain off and put a brand new wax chain on. And I'm like, well, I'll use this chain because it still actually has a little life in it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't put it back on.
Yeah.
I really should just throw it away, but I keep it. It's got a little life in it.
Okay, so let's go over the steps. And
Yep.
then I also want to hear from you what a person who's going to just start out trying to take care of their chain, what they should do. Okay, so quick summary, start from taking the chain off.
Yep. So use your quick link tool and remove your quick link. Quick link remover. Take your quick link off, wipe it down once, which is a rag. Put it in a citrus degreaser. Shake it, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Take it out, wipe it, put it in the next citrus degreaser. Repeat that steps 3 times. And then go to the acetone, do the same thing in the acetone. And then take it out, let it dry just for a few minutes. If you're not gonna wax your chain, and remember this is getting pretty advanced, then put the chain, once it's dry, put the chain back on, and then use whatever lube you want. I would recommend a wax-based lube, especially in Nevada. We just don't have the weather for for the wet lubes, especially here. So yeah, it's quite simple to do. The only thing I would tell you is when you, like you said, when you put the lube on, I think you mentioned too, I always put lube on every single roller, and I actually will run it through my fingers. So I kind of press the rollers, press the lube into it, and then I wipe down the outside of the chain and wait the night, and then ride the next day.
Good.
And then I will also tell you that after I wax the chain and get it back on, I'm still going to put the lube on top of it. The wax lube.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll lube it one more time the night before I race as well. I guess since we have to drop our bikes off the afternoon before I race.
Yeah, that's right. Is drop off still the day?
Yeah, we had to sign up. You actually had to sign up online.
Okay.
For a particular time. So we had to sign up for a time for packet pickup, and then also a time for drop off, which I still don't exactly understand. And maybe someone watches this and they only gave us one time for package for our drop off, but we have 2 sites, and I don't know how I'm going to get them both done in an hour. Maybe I can.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, so then if you're not using a wax and you're just lubing, you would still put the lube on, but you don't want to over lube with a wet lube. No,
like just one drop on each of the rollers is all you want. And that's actually another kind of misconception is you don't wax or you don't lube the outside of the chain. Like the plates, they don't need wax. They don't need wax. They don't need lube.
Okay.
It's the rollers that need the lube. Because it's the roller interface with the gears that needs to have what is it called? Basically separation between them. And that's what the lube does.
Okay, so now I should have asked you this before. When you do put lube on the chain, are you putting it on the top chart of the chain above the chain stay, or are you doing the bottom part below?
I do both. You
do both. Yeah, I had a feeling you would. That's awesome.
Yeah, I do one low, go all the way through, and do it high all the way through, and wipe. Then I wipe the plates.
Yep.
And one little other pro tip is when you do it, make sure you run it through the gears. And then make sure you spend a lot of time cross chain. So when you cross chain, that's going from big in the front, big in the back, small in the front, small in the back, because that'll actually create flex in the chain. And the flex of the chain will allow lubricant to get basically deeper into the roller.
Got it. I got Cinco shift, so I can't cross chain.
Oh, you gotta turn that off when you lube your bike.
I'll have to program it to
Yeah, you need a special setting for lubing.
That's actually a really good tip though, because you're right. That does give it the flex and help put some lube down in there.
So that's about it.
That's awesome.
Pretty good talk tonight.
That's very thorough, very doable.
Yeah.
And
you don't need much to do it. Like that's the thing. It's not, and here's the thing is I don't want to take business away from the local bike shops at all. Like I think support your local bike shop as much as you can, but this is something you can do if you want. Right now, a friend of mine tried to get their bike in to get it tuned up before St. George. It was a 10-day wait.
Oh boy.
So I can't, it's too late, and who wants to leave their bike for 10 days somewhere? I don't want to leave my bike for 10 days.
No.
I have many bikes. I still don't.
I was just going to say, and you've got multiple bikes, so that actually works. Oh, that's great. I really like this process. In fact, as I said, you've inspired me to dust off my waxing, and I'm actually going to go look at the Silca wax, because I know they've done a lot in this area and have really built out some neat product lines. And
so we were going to talk a little bit of, we were saying we're going to do a little tech talk each week. So just this week, they announced their new chain prep Did you see this?
No.
Where they're actually diamond cleaning the chain for you. You buy the chain from them, and basically putting like almost like a porousness to the chain with, I don't know, diamond sanding the chain, and then waxing it on top of that. I just heard about it on a podcast, like hundreds of dollars for one chain.
Wow.
But you know,
and that's all about marginal gains. That's his podcast, Marginal Gains, and
exactly
looking for those little things that ultimately add up to a big thing. So,
and like, for us, like we said, 1 watt, 2 watts doesn't make much of a difference. But in high level cycling and you know, track cycling in particular, you're talking thousands of seconds sometimes in track cycling between, you know, first and second or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, I like you said, I like that it's a pride thing. You know, you're taking care of your bike and you're taking care of your gear. And there's Cosmo.
Wouldn't be a Friday night without Cosmo.
Zora's wondering what's going on. She's like, hey, I hear somebody. All right, so next week, St. George.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a chat next week.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out if you're going to be remote up there. Or...
I am going to be remote up there because it'll be Friday night, the night before the race. Yeah. So I was thinking there's 2 topics, you know, we could talk about. Well, maybe we talk about both. I was going to maybe do my best bike splits.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then also maybe talk about what I eat the day before the race, or what I ate the day before the race.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks, John. That was super fun.
No, that was really good. Very informative and again, inspiring. So I love the detail, the attention to detail that you have. And this is jam-packed with information that's all really good.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.